Look at this. High
Hey,
tech.
what's up, guys? My name is Alex. Welcome back to Gray Area, and we're here with the one and only Ranger Trucco. What's up, bro? How's it going?
What's up, man? It's going well. How are you?
Fucking fantastic.
Great. That's good to hear.
So, um, I usually start with a different question, and I'm usually against the question that I'm about to ask. But
So
sure,
let's open with it.
but let's open with it anyways,
Yeah.
because I only ask this when the names are odd one. But
Mhm.
where'd the name come from? I think I know the answer, but I want to hear it from you.
All right, so it's a long story. Ready? The name
Yes.
is my name. And
That's
not many
see, I knew this already. This is why I
not,
wanted to ask. That is it.
not
It's
many
your
people
middle name, right?
Yeah, middle name. Ranger is my middle name. Ranger Trucco. Trucco is my last name. And most people, when I tell them that, don't believe me, make me show them ID, whatever it is. But yeah, it's so funny. I would think it would like kind of. I don't know. When I hear that name, it sounds like a real name to me. Maybe it's because it's my name,
It's
but
yours.
more often than not, people are quite surprised at that. So yeah, it is just my name though.
Why did your parents put Ranger as your middle name?
I've made up a different story for that question so many times. To tell you the truth, don't even remember the real one. I think I've told so many lies that I've believed like my
What's the
own.
best lie that you've told for that? Because I want to hear that.
That my
Fuck the original
favorite,
story.
my favorite one is that they named me after a pickup truck by Ford. Uh, because I'm from Michigan and like I don't know, that just kind of sounds funny.
That
Like,
fits.
oh
That
yeah,
fits.
they should name me after the Ford. Like but
Your dad worked at the Ford plant, so he figured.
yeah, exactly. So we'll go with that. Can we go
All
with
right.
that? Yeah.
And which brings me to my next question, because speaking of your parents, I know that your dad had a lot to do with like forming your musical DNA. Can you like talk about how your dad got you into music and what that looks like?
Yeah, absolutely. It was my dad. It was both of them, but I think my dad used to drive me to school, my brother and I to school, and I honestly, music was just a part of everything we did. It was on during dinner, it was on in the car when we were on the way to school and on the way home from school. In the morning, it would play like the first thing that my dad does when he wakes up is he either puts on like BBC radio or he plays music. So I think that's where it all started was just it constantly being on. We used to listen to "The Day That Never Comes" by Metallica before school to get all hyped up.
That is a hype.
Yeah, oh yeah, we'd be going nuts in the car, and then we'd be like, "All right, let's do this." We'd run out and go to school. And then my other fond memory of like musical traditions was I used to take like I don't know what it was, some sort of medication in the morning, and every time I'd take it, I would have to drink it. It was kind of gross. My dad would play "No Faith in Medicine" by the White Stripes, and so it would get me all like he'd get me all jacked up, and then I'd take the shot like I was slamming a shot, and it would be
I
like, "You have no faith in medicine." And
I
yeah,
love that. I don't know
yeah.
your dad, but I love him already.
Oh yeah, he's a great dude. Yeah, I mean, so yeah, between those things, my mom would always put on like Pat Metheny records at dinner, Frank Sinatra, just like it was always playing. And I think the older I got, the more I realized that when I would go to other people's houses, that wasn't normal. I figured everyone was just always listening to music.
Right.
Yeah.
When you started to like pick up your own taste in music, what did that look like?
So I've been through so many phases of like genres and what I've been into. My brother was really into rap music, so he used to get CDs the day they would drop. So I had like a pretty vast hip hop knowledge from him, rock and classic rock and alternative from my dad, from what was on the radio. I listened to a lot of Sirius XM alternative. It was like Station 21, and it was a really good alternative station. My first concert ever was Kings of Leon in
What?
Nashville, and I was like simultaneously learning guitar, and that concert was so epic that I like went home and learned every single one of their songs on guitar, and then started like a little band with my friends. So that's where I kind of like drifted off and started doing my own thing because I
Yeah.
got so into alternative, The Strokes, Phoenix, stuff like that. And
Like heavy
then
guitar, like guitar rock.
yes, Yes, because I was playing it.
Yeah.
And then through that, I started like diving. You know, you kind of like get the big names, and then you really explore the genre. That's
Yeah.
just how it is when your knowledge becomes, more vast. Is you're diving deeper. Then I got really into indie, and like the more into indie I get, like the sadder and sadder I'd want my indie music. So I started like doing deep dives, and I got into like Elliott Smith. And now currently, like my favorite band is this band called Men I Trust, and I listen to a
Oh,
bunch of like, yeah. Have you heard of them?
so I only know about them because of the Odin and Fatso song
Yep.
Lauren, which
Yep.
is based on one of their tunes.
Oh yeah. Yep. So when that originally premiered, I think they were like, obviously they cleared that sample, but yeah, I remember being like so upset that they sampled a Men I Trust song before I had the chance to. Like they
Well, you
beat
know
me
what?
to
They
it.
didn't actually clear that sample. They asked and they said no. They had somebody re-sing it.
Oh, recent. Yeah. Gotcha.
Yeah, they
Well,
had
good
somebody
for
re-sing
them.
it. Yes.
I literally, yeah, I have a tattoo of their logo. I love them so much.
Holy shit.
Yeah, they're my faves. I hope to meet them one day. I'll freak out.
Well, where did dance music come into the equation? If you were like, how did you make that transition? I mean, from like rock and like hip hop into dance music. It's not a huge leap to make, but it's kind of one.
Yeah, no, for sure. So I am from northern Michigan, and our festival that we would like migrate to every year was Lollapalooza in Chicago.
Right.
So we had friends who would go every year. My brother, I think, was the first one to go with my dad, because my dad wanted to, really introduce us to music festivals, live music. So he took my brother, and they came back and just wouldn't shut up about it. And I was like, shoot, I have to go next year. My first festival was Lolla, and then my brother went off and did Electric Forest with his friends. And he came back, and he was like wearing a pashmina, and he had like the baggy pants on, and I'm like, "What happened to you?"
He became a Wook overnight.
Like, he went like full Wook mode his first year, and I'm like, "What is that?" And then he took me under his wing, and we started going to festivals together, and started migrating towards the EDM stages. He's super into dubstep and rhythm and stuff, and
Yeah.
I used to just follow him everywhere, and we got really into electronic dance music together. And then I remember we went to Snow Globe Fest back when that was a thing.
Yeah.
And that was the first time that I like went off on my own, because he wanted to see this trap DJ. And I had been listening just, through going to festivals to a bunch of house, and I'm like, I want to go to the house stage. So I went to the Igloo at Snow Globe and like just stayed there all day long. And I remember the next day, it was just like something in me had just like been awakened. I don't know. I'm bad at words. Yeah. And I was flying home on a Spirit flight, and I was just listening to house music the whole time. And one of the songs in particular, I was just looping back again. And I'm like, what is this? So cool. I loved how complicated the build-ups would be, but that it would always like revert back to this just kick bass carrying the whole thing. Like everything
Yeah.
about the arrangement, I remember I discovered during Snow Globe, just being obsessed with just the BPM, the tempo, the crowd, everyone having space, dancing. It was just like, yeah, that was the moment. But it was
Yeah.
long-winded answer. It was through
No, that's
my
exactly
brother.
what I want to hear, though. That's
Yeah.
that moment. I found with every person that decides to make dance music their life, whether it's a DJ or a producer or a promoter, or even just a fan who's somebody who decides that this is the only thing that they want to devote their life to forever.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody has that moment at some point where it just like clicks, and you're
Totally.
like, "This is the thing. I know
Yeah.
this is my thing. I can." It's your heartbeat starts moving at 124 beats per minute.
Yeah, literally. I actually have such a funny thing that just happened to me, because option 4, Brennan was playing. He was the first guy I walked in on and saw DJing house music. He was playing On the Train by Will Clark. And I walked into the Igloo, and I just played his club vinyl this past Saturday. In Denver. And I went up to him at the after party, and I'm like, "You're the first house DJ I ever saw, and now I'm playing your club." And he was like, we were just freaking out about it. It was so cool.
wild.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
it must be awesome to get some of those moments now, because the further and further you move into the scene, the further and further you move up,
Yeah.
you start becoming friends with the people that you used to look up to. And that must just, that I've always found that to be just the wildest thing to, like, at the end of the night, you come home and you're just like, I just talked to that person that I was watching DJ like 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Like,
It is so wild. It's so wild, and it's such a treat when they end up being like great people too, great influences. It really just makes the whole thing full circle, especially when they're like down to hear about something like that, you know.
Yeah.
But it is a wild experience to go from admiring and looking from the crowd at somebody to meeting them backstage, or to, you know, receiving their feedback on your music or something like that. It's a crazy moment for sure.
Absolutely. I want to talk about how you actually got into the industry, because that's kind of an interesting story too. You moved to Oregon to go to school.
Yes. Yeah.
But you only lasted for a year.
I did only last for a year. I could only afford a year. You know when like you like see how much college is gonna cost, but in the back of your like senior in high school mind, you're like, well, I'll just be famous and pay it off. It's all good. Yeah, like
Right.
So I was fully aware that I was gonna be in the hole by like hundreds of thousands of dollars. But in my senior in high school brain, I'm like, I'll take care of that. It'll be no problem. Like I'll figure something out.
Yeah.
And then I remember like spring term freshman year, my counselor and I met, and she's like, so listen, like your grant money already ran out and you owe us this amount of money. And I was like, oh, ooh.
Oh.
It was a lot easier just to like think about it. Now that I owe it, it freaked me out. And I remember there were all sorts of hoops to jump through and stuff to do to get like in-state tuition, lower that cost. And in the back of my mind, I had already, over the course of my freshman year, started producing in Ableton, fallen in love with it, skipped out on classes to continue to dive into music. I was like hard set on like, all right, I can't, if I'm going to take a risk, because putting myself in this kind of student debt is a risk. If I'm going to take one risk, it's going to be on something that is like my passion, that is making music, that's going to get me out of bed in the morning, more so than it is going to be on burying myself in debt for 3 more years while I just figure out what I kind of want to do. When I already know I love doing this, I'd much rather, you know, bet the house on this, you know?
Well said. Well said. I mean, if you're, you know, always bank on your passions as opposed to banking on the possibility of something maybe working out later on and maybe making a bunch of money because you have a college degree. Mm-hmm. And not saying college is a bad thing, but, you know, that's awesome that you're able to bank on your passions and it got you to where you are.
Yeah.
I know your parents were always like super encouraging for you. And that open-mindedness is something that like is pervasive in you. They must have been pretty open-minded to be okay with you just being like, oh, fuck it, I'm not going to go to school anymore. I'm going to pursue this music thing.
I walked them around the campus, and like by this time in the school year, I knew everybody, and like I was showing them around, giving them like the most amazing tour, saying hi to people. People were yelling at me on the street, hey! Like I looked like the mayor of Oregon. And we like completed the tour, and they're like, great, what do you want to do? And I'm like, drop out. I'll leave it. Aw. There was like some crying involved, a very emotional conversation, but I was like, yeah, I need to get real with myself. I already owe a lot of money, and I don't want to live my life paying off, you know, student debt like this. I love this thing. And so shout out to parents and being open-minded. If it weren't for them, you know, being okay with it, being open to it, letting me chase that passion, I definitely wouldn't be where I am now. So it does, letting someone take that unconventional road is quite important. Yeah.
I mean, I gotta say that like, to some that may seem like an odd choice, or like that conversation may seem bizarre, but to me it seems incredibly mature of somebody who's like at the time we were probably like 19, 20.
I think 20.
To be able to say like, look, what I'm doing right now isn't for me, but I know what's for me and I'm ready to do that. And it's also brave to be able to like, all right, I'm gonna bring my bring my parents here and then break the news to them. Like, this looks really great, but it's just not the thing.
I had a feeling that the part of the reason they were okay with it was because of that, what you just mentioned. Like, I did have a plan. I was like, look, guys, like, I set it up in a way where I was like, I'm into this, and if you guys can, give me some time to figure this out, I think it's going to pay itself back more so than me doing 3 more years here. It was definitely structured out, and there was some it wasn't just me being like
music time.
It was like totally a plan. So they respected that, and that's probably why they let me go for it.
I love it. How soon after you started producing did you start to develop this like trademark vocal / deep house / tech house thing that you kind of developed as your own sound, because you live in your own lane right now?
My style's like changing though, like it's different. I like to just keep an open mind. I just like to be an outlet of what I'm getting inspired by. My favorite producers, the people I look up to the most, are just doing whatever they want. I started by doing vocals on my tracks. All of my old stuff is original vocal, and I still love to write vocals. But like if something else is going to catch my attention, I'm not just going to suppress like that, that desire to go for it. I don't want to live my life like feeling like I always have to fit into a box. Like, I like, there's a producer who goes by Coulter, used to go by Joko. Producers like Scream, guys like that who just do whatever they want, any genre, just like completely take on the challenge and they just make music. Like, if I can at a young age just kind of let people know that like this is what I do, I'm just going to go for everything, I'm going to try to cover a wide variety of stuff, and no one's ever going to be like, no, that's your sound. It's like, no, we respect that you're trying new things. And so to answer your question, it started with vocals, and I really liked that part of my career, and I'll probably bring vocals back into my stuff eventually. And then like as I just got more and more, just like alternative, right? Just like when you dive into a genre, as I got more and more into house and tech house, I just started realizing how much more of it was out there. A very pivotal moment for me was being in Floyd, which I just played, which is so crazy. It was such a full circle moment again, because I was in Floyd, Miami Music Week 2022, and I saw Sidney Charles for the first time, and he was just blowing my mind. I'd never heard anything like it. And the synths and the melodies and the huge breakdowns, and I was like, what is this? And so like I went home, and it just like I had like a midlife crisis again. I'm like, I need to make this. This is all I'm listening to. This is all I care about. And so I kind of, I changed things up. I stopped making like American structured tech house and started trying to take more influence from these European guys, but all with that same thing in mind of like, I want to show people like throughout my career that I just went for stuff and did whatever I wanted,
Well, I think it's interesting. That's great that you brought up like Scream in that aspect, because if there's anybody in dance music that has said, fuck it, I'm going to do whatever I want, that's the guy. And like to use that as one of like your inspirations is massive, but it's also great to hear that like you're always constantly inspired to like keep changing it up. There's no need to get stuck in a box. Like never.
Exactly. If you don't have like, I use this every time. I mean, it's fun. If you're not having fun, right?
Yeah.
If you can't like go to your laptop and realize that your job of making music is fun, and you're like, oh, everyone knows me for being the acid house guy. I have to do acid house today, even though I'm really into this right now. It's like, are you having fun? And if you're not, put yourself out there, go for something different where that fun and that excitement and that, like new territory comes back into play. That's what it's all about for me, It's
inspiring. Like it's inspiring to discover something new and then go back into the studio and be like, let me see how I can apply this new thing that I just discovered to what I do.
Mm-hmm. And I'm happy you said it that way, because that is a big part of it. You shouldn't just try to like cut, copy, paste something. Factor it into what you're already doing. Bring your own version of it to the table. It's not just like I'm just going to be Sidney Charles now. It's like, no,
Yeah.
I'm going to take, some inspiration from it and just combine it with what I'm already doing.
Well, I think that's why you can hear like anybody who's like even changed their sound over the years.
Mm-hmm.
You can listen back to a record they did even 10 or 15 years ago and be like, that still sounds like them.
Yeah.
It still sounds like them today. It's just like a variation of who they are.
Yeah, exactly. You can definitely hear that original identity in all of the old stuff. Also, like, when you dig into like one of your favorite artists' like first couple of EPs, the difference in what they're doing then versus like what they currently put out is so crazy. And like,
It is.
Yeah, more
It
often
is.
than
Like
not.
sometimes I do this. This is part of my job is
Yeah.
to like research artists, and I'll go back into someone's catalog sometimes like 15 years, and I'll listen to their first release, and I'm like, my God. Like Matroda, for example, is a fantastic idea.
Mm-hmm.
Matroda, when he first came out, was producing glitch hop and dubstep and
Yeah.
like big room electro house.
Yeah.
It couldn't be more different than what he does today, but you can still look back on it and be like, oh, now I get why he produces tech house the way that he does.
Yeah, exactly. Also, when I dove into Noizu, I met Noizu on
Yeah.
like a run of show a couple years ago, and I found out that like he used to make dubstep too, and I had like used one of his dubstep tracks for like a freestyle skiing edit that I put together with my friends when I was in like high school. Yeah.
Wow.
Like, that's you? No way. I
That's
did
crazy.
a 360 to your song, dude.
I love that.
Yeah.
I want to talk about a story that I read on your Instagram a little bit ago about it kind of relates to this whole idea of like kind of sticking to things and doing whatever you want. But your track Danny Girl went unsigned for a year.
Yeah.
And I want to point out how awesome it is that you just kind of stuck to it and you were like, no, I really believe in this song the way that it is right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that it's going to get somewhere. It takes a lot of intense belief in yourself to hold tight for that long with the record. Where does that come from?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, that was so crazy because not only did it go unsigned, but it like got turned down. Like it didn't just like I didn't just wait on someone. Like multiple people were like, "No, this isn't for us." It was stuck in my head for so long that I couldn't, bear to like delete it. It was, in my private SoundCloud folder, and I just loved listening to it. And I sent it to one of my friends back home, and he listened to it so many times that it had like 400 plays or something. Like there were like the two of us were its biggest fan, and we're like, God, I know we have something with this. Because I can't get it out of my head. I love the bass line of it. It was so catchy. And so, I mean, I don't know where it came from. Maybe it was a bit of, like, stubbornness on my part. But I loved that track. And it was kind of the first moment in my career where I was like, I'm not going to let someone determine this track's value. I'm going to determine it myself. And if that means I gotta wait until somebody sees my vision here or believes in it the same way I do, I will wait 10 years because I like listening to this, I'm proud of it, and it's going to come out eventually. And so, when Spinnin' Deep finally took a chance on that track, and when it did the numbers it did, like when it just did when it blew up the way it did,
It was your first track to hit 1 million, right?
First track to hit 1 million. Yes. First solo track to hit 1 million. Yes.
Yeah.
I was like, it was a very empowering moment because I trusted my gut on it, and I was like, it was really a testament to my career going forward. I'm like, I always need to keep that mindset. Like, if I believe in something, if I like something, it's got to come out. It's got to come from me. That's that whole mindset. I'm really happy it happened when it did. That got me into this like really good headspace of being the final say on my records, which in turn started everything with the label, everything with being my own boss. Obviously, I mean, like I had a bunch of great influences and inspirations to do that. But that Danny Girl moment was the first time I'm like, I bet on myself with that track, and it paid off, and it was powerful. So yeah, that's kind of.
Well, I'm glad you said that about the label, because that was my next question. Like off the back of that,
segue,
like,
all natural segue.
Yeah, you just celebrated the year of the label.
Yes.
And you started the label for a lot of the same reasons a lot of artists do. Waiting on label approval fucking sucks.
It does.
And it's like a detriment to your self-confidence often. And now you can take risks and release what you want. And after doing this for a year, what has it taught you about yourself and success?
I used to pull my hair out over certain labels waiting too long to get back to me, or the worst one was when they would get back to me and tell me to make changes to sound like another artist. I used to have labels tell me to sound like other artists by name, and it would like, oh my gosh, I would cry over it. Like, I'd get so angry. I was like, what's the point? Like, if you don't, I would much rather you tell me no, just like, no, we don't like it, than be like, yeah, we'll take it if you sound a little bit more like this guy. Like, that's like,
then it's not you.
Yeah, right. It's like, we just don't see eye to eye in that. Like, I'm not gonna take that. Like, that offends me, because I believe in what I'm doing. I like that what I'm doing is different than other artists. And when you're trying to like strip away that one thing that kind of makes it me to sound like somebody else just to give it a home on your label, like, that's disrespectful to like how I view the record, to my creative process. So it happened like 2 times in a row with records, and I got on the phone with my manager, and I was very upset, and he was like, why don't we just start putting some of these out? It was a kind of, we had the idea at the same time. What's even crazier is we're like, let's just do our own thing. Some of these labels just don't understand, they're not buying in, and we want these records to come out. We had this crazy moment where we're like, all right, let's do this. Let's do our own label so we can have final say. We can create our own release schedules. We can also, it was right after the time that I was going to start dipping into that European deep house, deep minimal sound. So I was like, oh, it's a perfect outlet for that too. Because I don't want to just like, try and get on these deep minimal tech labels right off the bat and then see my discography and be like, well, you don't make this. Like, how are we going to take you seriously? So if I did it myself on my own label, I could at least have those receipts of like, look I'm trying it, I'm getting better at it. And then when the time comes, those labels will be like, okay, yeah, we see the vision, we see what you're doing, and we want to support that. It's not just going to be an immediate pivot from one genre to the next.
You're feeding the ecosystem too in that way. Like with your own label, you're feeding the ecosystem.
Yeah, exactly. And the crazy thing that happened with my manager was we wanted to do the self-releases. We wanted to just shake this, to free ourselves of this like stress caused by labels being meanie heads. And he's like, can you think of a name for it? And I'm like, yeah, let me call you back. And I hung up the phone, and I walked downstairs to my roommate at the time's room, and I was kind of discussing with him, and I was like, oh, what if I just called it Range? And then I walked back upstairs, and I had a text from him, and it was like, what if we called it Range? And I was like, oh my gosh, it was freaking perfect. It was beautiful. We were completely in sync. And then I knew it was really meant to be. And that label, like you said, it's been a year now, has become like my newfound purpose in this scene. It's become like so much more than I ever thought it would be. I really did it at first to, just give myself peace of mind, and be able to be my own boss when it came to certain records that labels didn't want, that I still wanted out. It has gotten so much insanely sick engagement and love and support that now it's something that I want to turn into that free lane and that option for other producers. And I actually never thought it was going to be that. I thought it was just going to be my own self-releases, and it's gotten so much love and support that I'm going to open it to demos for 2024 and start putting out other artists on it.
I love to hear that. It's so awesome that now you've put yourself in a position with it that you can pay it forward for other for other artists that are hoping to escape all of the reasons that you started the label in the first place.
Yeah, and I promise I'll never tell the artist to sound like somebody else.
I would hope not.
I know, I just fall right back into that.
Let's just be honest. It's the worst bit of feedback you could give somebody. It's like, yeah, it's good, but not as good as this person, so sound more like them.
It's insulting. It hurts.
It's really insulting, because the whole point of making music is to do the thing that do your passion.
I respect if you don't want to take a risk, if you don't want to roll the dice on a sound that's not necessarily, the sound at the moment.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like, telling someone to like sound like someone else, if they take their art seriously, it's insulting. It is not a nice thing to say to somebody.
Well, I mean, a lot of that advice doesn't come from people that are artists too.
You're right.
The people that are giving that advice they're not even thinking in the mind of somebody who's a creator.
Yeah.
They're thinking about numbers.
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. And so, yes, like I said, the label having that creative freedom, and like, just even this year, I think I've done 2 releases on the label. I have 2 more slotted for this year, and like, I have some more releases, outside of it, but like, structuring my entire release schedule around self-releases, around a date that I decide on, and art that I decide on, and like all of this strategical stuff, like, let's place this one right before this festival, whatever. That is like, it's amazing. It's the best decision I could have made.
It must be cool to be able to start to do like your own events too, as a result of that.
Yes, working on more of those. But yes, that is going to become a large part of it too. And also do the merch too, like kind of create a brand. It's just, it's an all-encompassing brand. And I want people to buy into not only the music, but the philosophy of it. And I want people to rep it proudly and know that it is a brand by a 23-year-old who is really trying to look out for an artist and their creativity and their individuality.
That's crazy. I mean, I love that you just mentioned your age too, because if you think about the journey that you've taken from you telling your parents that you were going to stop going to school to now, that's all happened in the space of just a little bit more than the time you would have been in school to begin with.
I know, it doesn't feel real. It's insane. It's insane. I'm such a psychopath too about it. Like, I was just talking. My roommate is Kyle Walker. Notable producer, DJ, and good friend and good human being. And we were on a walk yesterday. And my buddy Chase West, who's another producer, DJ. I lived with him last year. I have always lived with producers, and we have always been the most annoying people in the world. Like, we are so psycho about this stuff, our planning. We talk about it every single day, and it's like, the fact that it has been, like you said, the duration of what a college experience would be is mind-blowing, because we talk about it so much. It feels like we've done like 2 decades worth of talking about it, because we're just every single day on a walk, on the phone. Hey, what should we do here? Like, what are we thinking? What's the industry look like? This person just released here. What's the new release here? It's just non-stop. And so it really does wow me sometimes that it has been such a short period of time, because in relativity to how much we're clocked in, so to speak. Yeah,
absolutely. I always say that it takes a deep level of nerd shit to stay in dance music for any amount of time.
yeah, definitely. It takes a lot of craziness too. Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, it can be a frustrating time. It can be an awesome time, but it takes some commitment.
Oh well, I mean, it's equally both of those at the same time, often.
Yeah, it is. Simultaneously. Yeah.
And I wouldn't have it any other way.
Agreed. I love it. I love it. It's your messed up family, but it's the one you got, and so you gotta try and work on making it better.
100%.
Yeah.
So before we get into the speed round, I always like to end on the question: what excites you about the future of dance music?
ChatGPT. No, I'm just kidding. AI. Can't wait for it. No, I believe that we are, as young producers and as a industry, I think that a lot of maybe it's just in my world, but it's the world that I choose to live in.
Yeah.
I believe that kids are starting to really see the value of ownership and kind of straying away from these age-old, I got to be on a label first to get started. And kind of understanding, and I will continue to be someone who preaches this, and starting to be their own bosses more and realizing that they don't have to sign away 50% of a record if who they're signing it away to can't really do much more than they can. I think we're starting to see a lot more like labels being started just for the same purpose I started mine, a lot more creative freedom, a lot more not putting up with just what the big labels have to say and just like taking those creative risks. What excites me is that I and a lot of my near and dear friends are all on that same wave. We all have that mindset. And no matter how big we take our individual projects, we will always be collaborators and we will always be the people preaching this stuff, and trying to influence the generation after us to also like have that ownership, peace of mind, and create creative forward mentality on this whole thing. I'm in a position right now where all I want to do is like try and give back, and I want to do so much with my own label, but it's all to merge or build a bridge between this European sound, these amazing producers who send me their promo from Italy and Amsterdam and the UK that nobody knows about in the US yet. And yeah. It's given me so much more purpose now, because it's like, it's selfless. It's like, I don't care about what I'm doing for my own project. If I can also put these guys on too and just make this sound have more of a home in the US and expose the US to a completely new pool of DJs, that gets me excited. So a lot gets me excited.
Yeah.
This huge coffee I drank has got me really excited. I had a big meeting with Chase Bank about adult stuff, and that kind of scared me. But after that, I was excited to talk with you again. I'm excited about all sorts of stuff. I got like, my friends and I have this stupid, naive, childish mindset about this whole music industry, but guess what? It's never going to change. Like, we are going to just have fun, look out for each other, and preach positivity and give the power to the artist. That's what it's all about.
Well, childlike wonder is an important factor in being an artist, because it's crazy to think that you could make money off of your art, or people think that it's crazy to think that you could make money off your art. Mm-hmm. But I think that's the one thing that kind of binds us all together. It's like, yeah, sure, why not?
Yeah.
Like, why do I have to sit why do I have to sit in an office all day unless I really want to? Why can't I just make cool shit?
Yeah. And how easy did that goal sound to you before somebody told you it wasn't achievable? Go right. Back to that. Yeah.
That was the only thing that was going to happen.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think that's that crazy mindset that every artist has. It's like, yeah, this is the only thing that I care about, though.
Yeah, exactly.
I wake up every morning thinking about this, and I go to sleep every night thinking about this.
Yeah.
So why not?
Why not? Stay committed. That's all it is. The only thing promised is that if you give up, it's not going to happen. That's a fact. Anything is possible. Now I'm just going to start recycling old quotes. One time, no, just honestly.
Just do it.
If I can say anything to people, and if I can be anything to people, I just want to be that childlike wonder, like you said. Just don't let anyone get in your head. If you have a plan, do it. And if complications come your way, if you got to maneuver around it, do it your way. Don't let someone who's afraid of the goals you set let you lower them. You know what I'm saying? It's all about just being an idiot and going for it and not getting a formal education.
Yes.
Yeah.
Beautiful way to end that.
Right.
So we're going to move into the speed round now. Are you ready to ask some weird questions?
Yes, I'm ready.
All right. We'll start off with an easy one. What was your first thought this morning?
I hate getting up at 9 a.m.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I'm tired. Yeah. Yeah.
What is something that you can only get in Michigan?
a really annoying accent.
There's a Michigan accent?
Yeah, so okay, like the movie Madagascar would be Madagascar. And like,
the
Traverse,
kind of Midwestern.
like Traverse City is Traverse, yeah, stuff like that. Yeah, you can only get that in Michigan. What? What'd you say?
Where did your accent go?
I don't know. I don't think I ever had one really.
Accents are disappearing. This is my theory.
I was born.
Regional accents.
I was born in Hermosa, so I grew up here for like maybe the accent development years, and then
there it is.
I don't know, but that's what you can get in Michigan is an accent.
There you go. Would you rather never hear your favorite song again, or be forced to play your least favorite song in every set you play forever?
I'd rather never hear my favorite song again. I can never think of a favorite song. There's so much music out there. That's fine. If you just don't take away Men I Trust. If I can keep like an artist and just go to a different part of their discography, I'll be good.
Perfect.
Yeah. Yeah.
Would you rather only be able to whisper or only be able to shout?
Whisper. I think that would avoid more awkward situations.
That is true.
I think it's good to be too quiet about stuff. Can you imagine like talking shit about someone and just yelling it? Yeah, whisper.
All right. Would you rather swim in a pool full of Nutella or a pool full of maple syrup?
Nutella, maple syrup, you're never getting out of that pool.
That is true.
Yeah. You're stuck. You're going to die in there.
Favorite food to eat on tour?
Oh, favorite food to eat on tour? Taco Bell, 2 a.m.
Nice. If I looked at your recently played tunes on Spotify, what would you want to hide from me?
Oh, that's a good question. I listen to like a lot of death metal like before shows sometimes. Damn, that's not really embarrassing though. I like metal. I listen to everything.
Yeah.
What would I want to hide? Shoot. I'm proud of what I listen to. Nothing. That's my answer.
I always ask this question because 9 times out of 10, that's the answer.
Yeah, I don't care. I love everything. I listened to jazz this morning. I listened to Action Bronson last night. I'll listen to everything. Yeah.
There was a year where Alanis Morissette was my most listened to artist for some reason. I'm not sure if I was feeling depressed and listening to Jagged Little Pill every day or what, but I don't give a shit. Like, who cares?
Own it, yeah. I'm not embarrassed about what I listen to at all. I mean, like, yeah. No, I don't listen to any, like true crime podcasts or anything like that, like, excessively. Like, that might be a concerning thing, but no, I'm pretty chill about everything.
Nice. What sound or noise do you love?
More prepared for these. What sound or noise? The sound of... I don't know. Hey, I have a counter question to that. Are you a fan of the whoop whoop, or do you not like it?
You know, my parents or my mom listened to a lot of disco.
Mm-hmm.
And the whoop whoop was a thing in the disco era. That's where it comes from. So personally, I'm cool with it. It's been around for like almost 50 years at this point. There's a reason it keeps coming back up. Cool.
I might catch some hate for this, but I love it too. I think it's cool.
If you're playing a fucking banger, like that's cool when the whole crowd.
Yeah, it's like they're not like, doing that because they hate it. It's like reinforcing. No. I don't know. I've seen people hate on it
at the drop.
Yeah, it's like, what's the difference? So I'm not gonna say that's like my favorite sound here, but I did want to just bring that up. My favorite sound to hear is when someone who has liked the show comes up and tells me about it. There you go.
Yes, love that.
Yeah,
beautiful.
Or that swing in a drum. Actually, that's my other one too. That like syncopation, like that 16th note hi-hat swing. I am literally injected into my veins. I'm obsessed with it, and that just gets me going.
I love that too.
Yeah.
Dream collaboration.
Coulter, probably. He, I think, is the greatest producer out there right now. Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
And last question. Finish this sentence. House music is...
House music. and then get like a
No,
thousand
don't.
and then 1,000 retweets, 1,000,000 likes. House music is whatever you want it to be, baby. Just be yourself, have fun, and do it with your friends, and try to bring something new into the world, but also don't take anything too seriously. Have fun and do it yourself. Please try it out, because I don't like ghost producers and stuff like that. Like, just give it a shot. It's really fun, and it takes some time.
It's okay to be bad at things at first.
God, you want to see some old Ableton projects? I will show you Bad House.
I have some straight up garbage in sitting on my hard drive from way back in the day.
I have this tweet drafted that I still haven't ripped, and this is how I feel constantly. I'm like really bad at checking promo, like really bad at it. But the reason is, I'm sorry I haven't gotten back to your promo. I quite honestly don't know if I like my own stuff yet, and a lot of it's out. Like, that's like how I feel. Like, you want me to take time out of my day to review your track? I got news for you, pal. I don't even know if I like what I'm making, so just cut me some slack here. I'm so in my head about this stuff every single day. Just give me a minute, okay?
That's the realest thing any producer ever said to me.
Yeah. Every time.
It's so true. Like, seriously, I don't even know if I like my own music.
Yeah.
You want me to listen to yours?
Right. What? You want my feedback? Okay.
Do you really? You should not trust my feedback.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like, the day my songs come out, I'm like, that sucked. That is the worst song I've ever made.
I have to make a TikTok for this now? Fuck.
Yeah. No way. Not happening.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time out to speak to me.
Dude,
super fun.
Anytime, man. Yeah. You are. I appreciate the hell out of you, and it's so good to talk to you again. And people like yourself are what make this whole thing such a great place. So I appreciate you caring about House. Dude, you're the man. Seriously.
Thank you.
Of course, bro.
Thank you. That's a huge compliment, and I appreciate that.
No, of course, man. Seriously. Anyone who's as invested as you are, like, that's what we need more of. Just people who love the genre, you know?
I mean, like I said, I literally, when I was 17, went to a rave for the first time, and I was like, this is it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm done.
That's it. Goodbye.
Bye. Everything else doesn't matter.
I love it. I love that.